H2O, I need the outline.
Yes.
Who is recording it?
I'm sorry.
Who's recording it? Cannot be used to.
Okay. Can you record us? Oops.
Ready to go?
Yeah.
Alright. So we want to close the door?
Yeah.
Just saying it might be otherwise. Alright. Bilal, are you going to be able to record everybody on that?
Yeah.
That is important. Alright, H2O, let's give them a round of applause, Adrian. All yours.
So hi, I'm Albert.
I'm Elisa.
I'm Daryl.
I'm Anthony.
I'm Swan.
And we are H2O!
Okay.
Today we will be talking about California drought. In the last 4 years, California has been stricken with severely limited amount of rain and snowfall. According to our survey, there are 86% of our survey takers know that we are in a drought, and the other 14% don't. The extended dry period has led to our state drought severity to be listed as exceptional, the driest of all drought classifications. The ramifications of the drought are widespread and affect political decisions as well as private residents, businesses, and farmers.
With this presentation, we hope to inform you of the severity of the drought, the history of water usage in California, legislation passed in regards to the drought, economic impacts of the drought, and possible solutions that could help stave off water shortages in California. We're going to start off with Albert talking about cause and severity.
Alright, so according to the United States Geological Survey, drought is defined by a period of drier than normal conditions that result in water-related problems. After the absence of rain, rivers, lakes, reservoirs all begin to deplete in water levels, and after a certain amount of time, it's going to be deemed as a drought. And there are 3 types of drought that I'm going to name, and they're meteorological drought, which is a lack of precipitation, agricultural drought, which is a lack in soil moisture, and a hydrological drought, which is reduced stream flow and groundwater levels. And it seems, there's many factors that led up to the drought, and weather patterns in the Pacific as well as warm temperatures all attribute to this extended period of dryness. And it feels like the drought kind of came out of nowhere, and it's becoming a really big part of our lives today. So I want to enlighten us on how this came to be and how severe it actually is. According to San Jose News, Mercury News article, California Drought, What's Causing It by Paul Rogers and Daniel Swain of Stanford on his weather blog, weatherwest.com. The article titled, The Ridiculously Resilient Ridge Continues into 2014. There's a persistent high atmospheric pressure that's built up in the Pacific. As we can see here, it's measured at 2,000 miles long and 4 miles high, and it's lasted for a very long time. And this allowed airflow through the middle right here. As you can see, red's high pressure, and that's low pressure. And it's allowed storms to go around rather than through this ridge. And this ridge isn't an unusual phenomenon. It happens to rebuild and break down periodically. However, in the past few years, we've seen that it hasn't broken down, but actually gotten stronger. California is supposed to get its rain from the storms that are supposed to occur in midwinter and spring, but because of this ridge acting as a wall preventing storms from entering California, it's actually given us not enough water, and we can see from the data taken year by year, month by month, and day by day, water isn't reaching California, and we desperately need it. And because of this ridge not giving us water, increasing temperature also is impacting the drought we're experiencing today. So Henry Fountain's article, California Drought is Worsened by Global Warming, scientists say, on the New York Times, along with other scientists, have all agreed that global warming has played an impact on today's drought. Drought is attributed to not enough water and increasing temperatures. Increasing temperature leads to overall water loss. With data taken throughout the year, we can see that we're experiencing that the weather we're supposed to be experiencing, is half warm and half cooler. except now that we can see that we're experiencing more warm weathers throughout the entire year. Increasing temperature allows water to leak faster from the soil and from bodies of water through evaporation, and no snow production where we're supposed to get snow from. National Drought Mitigation Center and the United States Department of Agriculture and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration have all collected data throughout the year to measure the severity and predict future behaviors of the weather. Data that's periodically taken is precipitate average, stream flow average, soil moisture, and snowpack. And future statistics can see that it's becoming really dry. So first, precipitation average. This shows us how much rain we're getting in a certain area, and based off this data, we can see that 72.7% was the year before the drought officially started. Averages is around 50%, and the year this drought started was 41.6%, and now today we're experiencing 35.2%, and this is measured in precipitation in inches. And next, I want to talk about the stream flow average. And this shows how much water is flowing through whatever body of water stream. And you can see that red areas are taken into account that they have below average from the previous average stream flow. You can see that throughout California, we have mostly red, some green, and some yellow. And it just shows that most of the streams that are flowing are going at below average water than it was last year. And next is snowpack. This shows us how much snow remains and how much water we get from it in a particular area. And this is particularly important because water is a way of storage when it snows in the winter. And then as it heats up, it slowly releases water for us to fill our reservoirs. And we can see these are from the different areas. This is from the wettest year, from before the drought. This is during the drought, and this is where we are now, and this is the driest period it's been in history, which was 1976 and 1977. And next, soil moisture shows how much moisture it retains in the soil, and it's measured in crop moisture index. And we can see that they made an easy to read scale that how much water retains in the soil. And after going through the statistics, I hope we have a better understanding just how severe and how dry California is becoming and how important this situation is. I covered weather patterns and warm weathers and how it's affecting the drought today. And for those of you that still don't understand, this is how serious the drought is today. We're in a D4 stage, which is the highest stage of drought, and almost like 75% of California. And now I'm going to pass it to Alyssa, who's going to talk about water usage.
So, according to Zoe Schlanger's article published in Newsweek Global titled "The Grass is Always Browner," towns and cities in California use around 3 trillion gallons of water every year. California also has the largest agricultural industry of any state in the U.S., which uses about 10 trillion gallons of water every year. As you can see from this graph, which displays water usage by state from data taken from the United States Geological Survey's 2010 report, California by far uses the most water of any state in the U.S., with about 38 billion gallons of water per day. To break this down, let's first look at residential water usage. According to Kate Pickard's article, Turning Off the Tap, published in August 2014 in Time magazine, residents living in Sacramento area have decreased their water consumption by 13%, while the region including LA and San Diego has used 8% more water in May than the average for the same month over the previous 3 years. A different study titled Residential End Uses of Water, written by multiple authors in the AWWA Research Foundation and American Water Works Association. Residential water use can be divided into 2 main categories: indoor and outdoor use. This study analyzed a survey completed by 6,000 households and looked into historic water billing records from about 12,000 residences. As you can see from this graph, the top 5 uses for water is toilets, clothes washers, showers, faucets, and hand, which is any water that comes from hand washing or drinking in your house. And the last of the top 5 is leaks, which according to this study accounts for about 22 gallons every day. More water is also used outdoors than is used indoors. Per household, about 69 gallons used indoors and about 100 gallons used outdoors every single day. Outdoor water use is comprised of irrigation, such as watering gardens and using sprinkler systems, as well as water used in swimming pools. Residents that have swimming pools are estimated to use twice as much water outdoors. Steve Shizillo's article, published in the Inland Valley Daily Bulletin in November 2014, titled California State Water Resources Board Shares Water Usage by Each City, points out that cities with warmer climates, a majority of single-family households, and wealthier residents tend to use more water. Now I'd like to look back at what the United States Geological Survey said about California's water usage. California uses just under 40 billion gallons of water a day. As you can see here, a little more than half of this water, about 22 billion gallons, is used for irrigation. That's this green portion here. This type of irrigation is on a larger scale than what I talked about earlier. This is water used to help crop and pasture growth, as well as maintaining vegetation in parks and golf courses. This means that water that's used by our large agricultural industry is included in these 22 billion gallons per day. And just to give you an idea of how large our agricultural industry really is, according to Zoe Schlanger's article, California produces nearly half of our country's fruits, nuts, and vegetables. The topic of water usage in view of the California drought needs to be analyzed not as a whole, but in segments, because just about every aspect of California runs on water. From our residential water use to producing our fruits and vegetables in our large agricultural industry. Now, Daryl's going to speak on recent legislation that's been passed to help combat the drought.
So with California's limited and insufficient water resources becoming more and more stressed, state legislators have been forced to impose conservation laws and restrictions. The steady decline of water resources in California over the last several years, with low snow and rainfall levels, have created the need for state-mandated water conservation. I'll discuss some restrictions and laws that have been put in place to help reduce water wasting and conserve our precious water resources. With resources now at an all-time low, it's no surprise we've been asked to cut back our water usage. But what may not be quite as obvious is that there are now legal implications to wasting water. So I'm going to show a quick video here of Governor Brown talking about the new executive order that he put in place in April, and this other guy showing what snowpacks normally should be at this place.
77 measurement that in many areas was the previous driest on record. The yellow is last year's measurement. Green is the average snow depth at this location. And the very top of this pole is the maximum 150 inches of snow depth that we've recorded, in all these past years. This is bad news in terms of the state's water picture.
It's that bad. Governor Brown issued a mandatory water restriction for cities and towns effective immediately. It calls for a 25% water use reduction. The order also requires schools, campuses, golf courses,